With an empty weight surpassing 10,000 pounds, the P-47D Thunderbolt ranked among the heaviest single-engine fighters of World War II. On paper, it looked like a poor choice for a dogfighter. It was bulky, not particularly agile, and at lower altitudes, its engine response could be sluggish. And yet, in the hands of legendary pilots like Francis Gabreski and Robert Johnson, the P-47 racked up one of the highest kill ratios in the European skies. So how did this seemingly clumsy brute turn into a sky-dominating predator? The answer lies not just in its specs, but in its engineering philosophy, and in the tactics that transformed its perceived drawbacks into powerful advantages. The most obvious disadvantage was its sheer size. Compared to its main adversary, the nimble Messerschmitt Bf-109, the P-47 was a heavyweight. This affected its climb rate significantly. In a vertical engagement, the Thunderbolt often found itself at a disadvantage, while Bf-109 pilots could ascend faster and claim the high ground, an invaluable position in aerial combat. Turning battles also weren't the P-47's strength. Its wide turning radius meant it couldn't match the tight loops of more maneuverable fighters. German pilots frequently attempted to drag Thunderbolts into prolonged horizontal turns, knowing that once engaged in such a fight, the odds tilted heavily in their favor. Then came the power plant issue. The Pratt & Whitney R2800 Double Wasp was a beast of an engine, especially at altitude, thanks to its turbo supercharger, but that system introduced noticeable lag below 15,000 feet, as the turbo took time to spool up. In contrast, the Bf-109's Daimler-Benz engine used a direct mechanical supercharger, giving it crisp throttle response during low-altitude skirmishes. In a split-second fight, that delay could be fatal. So why didn't all these flaws doom the P-47? Because Republic Aviation hadn't designed it to play by the same rules as its adversaries. The Thunderbolt wasn't meant to turn or climb better. It was meant to dominate differently. Its enormous fuselage allowed it to carry tremendous fuel reserves, and with drop tanks added, it had the legs to escort Allied bombers deep into enemy territory and still make it home. P-47 pilots adapted their tactics. Instead of getting lured into turning duels, they used the plane's one major aerodynamic superpower, speed. In a dive, the Thunderbolt was unmatched. Its weight turned into unstoppable momentum. It could dive at over 500 miles per hour, a speed at which enemy aircraft, like the Bf-109, began to lose control responsiveness. The Thunderbolt, however, retained its composure. This allowed pilots to execute devastating boom and zoom attacks, diving at high speed, firing with precision, and climbing out before the enemy could react. But speed wasn't the only thing the P-47 had going for it. It was also one of the toughest planes.
Air-cooled engine made it incredibly survivable. Combat records suggest a Thunderbolt could absorb hundreds of 7.62mm rounds and still make it home, unlike liquid-cooled engines, which could be knocked out by a single hit to the cooling system. The P-47's radial could take damage and keep on roaring. Its offensive punch was equally formidable, armed with 8 Titrosias. Caliber Browning machine guns, the P-47 could deliver a concentrated storm of bullets during its brief firing window. The goal wasn't just to hit, it was to overwhelm. These guns spat out a dense wall of lead, tearing through enemy fighters in seconds. At altitude, the Thunderbolt came into its own. Its sophisticated turbo supercharger allowed it to thrive in the thin air above 25,000 feet. Where other fighters began to gasp, it could recycle hot exhaust gases to power its turbo, maintaining strong performance long after the Bf-109's capabilities started to fade. Up high, the P-47 wasn't just a fighter, it was king. In the end, the P-47 defied expectations. With over 3,700 air-to-air kills in the European theater alone, it wasn't a classic nimble dogfighter. It was a high-speed, hard-hitting, durable war machine. Every trait that once seemed like a flaw became the foundation of its dominance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into aviation history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating military stories.